Stop what you're doing, Cowboys Nation, because something very interesting just started gaining momentum around the Dallas Cowboys, and it might not be the flashy move everybody expects, but it could be the kind of decision that quietly changes the entire identity of this defense overnight. And before we dive into this, I need you to do me a quick favor. Hit that subscribe button right now and join Blue and Silver Nation, because this channel breaks Cowboys news, rumors, and inside storylines the second they happen. And if you love the Cowboys like I do, you do not want to miss what's coming next. Because the conversation around Dallas right now is not just about the draft, not just about offensive weapons, and not even about the usual contract drama we see every offseason. It's about leadership on defense, stability in the middle of the field, and a veteran presence that could completely reshape how this team plays on Sundays. And the crazy part is the name that keeps popping up might surprise some fans at first, because it's not a young rookie or a flashy free agent headline. It's a proven veteran who has spent more than a decade dominating this league and commanding defenses like a field general. We're talking about the possibility of Bobby Wagner becoming a Dallas Cowboy. And before anyone jumps to conclusions about age or mileage, slow down for a second, because this idea actually makes a lot more football sense than people realize when you look at where the Cowboys defense currently stands. Because let's be honest about something that everybody inside Cowboys Nation already knows. Last season, the defense struggled badly in key moments. The unit gave up too many points, too many big plays, and there were stretches where the group simply looked disorganized, especially in the middle of the field where communication and positioning are everything. And when that happens, it doesn't just hurt the defense. It puts massive pressure on the offense to carry the entire game every week. And that's exactly why the conversation about adding a veteran commander like Wagner has started to grow louder around the league. Because when analysts look at Dallas, they see a roster with talent, they see athletic players with upside, but they also see a defense that still needs a leader who can settle things down before the snap, someone who reads formations instantly, someone who understands offensive tendencies, and someone who makes sure every defender is lined up correctly before the ball is even snapped. And that is exactly the kind of role Bobby Wagner has played for years in the NFL. And here's the part that fans shouldn't overlook. This isn't some retired legend living off old highlights. Wagner is still producing at a high level even at this stage of his career, putting up strong tackle numbers and showing the same instincts that made him one of the most respected linebackers of his generation. And when you watch his film, you still see the intelligence that separates elite defenders from the rest of the pack, the ability to diagnose a run play instantly, the patience to wait for the right gap to open, and the awareness to adjust coverage responsibilities in real time. And those are exactly the traits Dallas has been missing in the heart of the defense, especially with a group of younger linebackers who are still developing and learning the speed of the NFL game. Because talent alone doesn't always translate into discipline on the field, and that's where a veteran presence becomes invaluable. Someone who can walk into the locker room and immediately command respect, someone who has played in playoff battles, someone who understands the grind of an NFL season and the mental preparation it takes to survive it. And that leadership element is something you cannot easily measure with statistics, but every team in the league knows how important it is. And if the Cowboys are serious about taking the next step defensively, then bringing in a player with that kind of experience could be one of the smartest moves they make this offseason. And here's another angle that people are starting to discuss: the financial side of things, because Dallas does not have unlimited cap space to throw around. And when you start looking at potential contracts for younger star players, the numbers can explode quickly, which means the front office has to think carefully about where they invest their money. And that's why a short-term veteran signing can sometimes be the perfect balance between improving the roster and protecting future cap flexibility, because you get leadership, stability, and production without locking yourself into a massive long-term deal. Because for a team like Dallas that still needs to think about future contracts across the roster, that kind of move can make a lot of sense strategically. And the crazy part is when you step back and look at the roster construction, this idea actually fits the direction the Cowboys appear to be heading. Because the coaching staff has been emphasizing discipline, communication, and defensive awareness as key points for improvement heading into the next season. And adding a player who has built his entire career around those exact traits could accelerate that process dramatically. And think about the ripple effect inside the locker room, because younger linebackers like DeMarvion Overshown and others in the room could learn directly from a future Hall of Famer every single day in meetings, film study, and practice. And that kind of mentorship can elevate the entire group faster than simply throwing another young athlete into the mix and hoping everything clicks. And Cowboys fans know this better than anyone because some of the best defenses in franchise history were built around strong veteran leadership in the middle of the field, players who served as the emotional heartbeat of the defense and set the tone for everyone else. And when that piece is missing, things can fall apart quickly no matter how talented the rest of the roster might be. And that's why this conversation about Wagner isn't just a random rumor floating around social media. It's a football discussion about what the Cowboys defense actually needs right now to stabilize and grow. And of course, there are still questions because this wouldn't be the NFL offseason without debates. Some fans wonder whether Dallas should focus purely on youth instead of bringing in an older veteran. Others believe the team should spend every available dollar chasing defensive lineman or secondary help. And those arguments are fair because roster building is never simple. But the reality is championship teams often combine young talent with experienced leadership, and right now the Cowboys might benefit from adding exactly that type of balance. And another factor that makes this discussion interesting is how the upcoming draft could influence everything. Because if Dallas uses an early pick on a defensive player, that might change the urgency of pursuing a veteran linebacker. But if the draft board doesn't fall the way the front office expects, then suddenly a reliable veteran option becomes even more attractive. And that's why these rumors always intensify as the offseason unfolds. Because teams are constantly adjusting their plans based on new information, and the Cowboys front office has shown before that they're willing to make calculated moves when the right opportunity presents itself. So this is definitely a storyline worth watching as the offseason continues to develop. And Cowboys Nation, let me ask you something right now, because this is where your opinion really matters. If the Cowboys could sign Bobby Wagner on a short-term deal that doesn't break the bank, would you want to see him wearing blue and silver next season, or would you rather Dallas invest completely in younger players and build for the future? Because this decision could shape how the defense looks not just in the first month of the season, but throughout the entire year. And when you think about the bigger picture, it all comes back to one simple goal: helping this team win more football games and finally making a serious postseason run. Because at the end of the day, the Cowboys offense already has the firepower to compete with almost anyone in the league. What they need now is a defense that can hold its ground, limit big plays, and close out games when it matters most. And if a veteran leader like Wagner can help raise the floor of that unit, even slightly, the impact could be huge across the entire team. And that's why this potential move is generating so much conversation right now across Cowboys media and fan circles. Because sometimes the smartest roster decisions aren't the ones that dominate headlines, but the ones that quietly fix the weaknesses everyone knows exist. And if Dallas finds the right price and the right role for a veteran linebacker who has seen everything this league can throw at him, then this could end up being one of those moves that fans underestimate at first, but appreciate every single Sunday once the defense starts playing faster, smarter, and more organized. And that's ultimately what this team needs if it wants to compete deep into the season. So as we continue watching the offseason unfold, keep your eyes on this storyline, because it could gain traction quickly depending on how the Cowboys approach the next few weeks of roster building. And if you've made it this far into the video, you're clearly a real Cowboys fan. So make sure you're subscribed to Blue and Silver Nation so you don't miss any breaking updates, rumors, or analysis as they happen. And now I want to hear from you in the comments. Should the Cowboys bring in Bobby Wagner to lead this defense, or should Dallas stick with the young linebackers already on the roster and trust their development? Drop your take below, because this debate is just getting started and Cowboys Nation always has something to say when the future of this team is on the line.